Thank you for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into Season 1, Episode 7, Hookman.
What did you think of this episode?
I really liked this one because I really like slasher films. And this is just like a slasher film in an episode.
It really, really is. Okay. And I came across the funniest fact. And I kind of like am curious if this is why they went the way that they went with this episode, which is basically Eric Kripke, who's like the showrunner, the producer, the big guy for this series.
Yeah.
This episode was supposed to air after the werewolf episode. I say werewolf, it's not a werewolf. What's it called?
Wendigo?
The Skinwalker episode. Wendigo. There we go. Okay. So this is supposed to air after that episode. This is supposed to be the next episode. But then when they turned in the script, or I guess the way that it had been shot first, I'm not sure if the script was the issue or what was going on, but he apparently looked at it and said that it wasn't really scary enough. So he gave the director, he and the director had a conversation, and he gave the director more time. So they pushed this episode back to be in episode 7 instead of immediately following, what was that, episode 2? So this should have been episode 3. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
instead of the Dead in the Water was 3.
Yeah, it should have been this one, the Hookman one. So I wonder, because we were having this conversation just before, it is very like urban legend.
Yeah.
Like
as
to the degree. Yeah. As in the film. To the degree, the 1998 masterpiece that such a like I love it. It's silly, but I love it.
Same. I did. Yeah.
I love it so much. And the fact that the guy who played Freddy Krueger plays the professor, it's just
I'd forgotten
that's
that.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is everything. And I love it so much. I love it so much. But there were so many references to that film. Like the first 2 kills, even IMDb was like, I see what you're doing here. IMDb was like, the first 2 kills are the exact same kills, basically. And they are. I was watching it having complete deja vu. And the one that really got me was the part where there's the blood writing on the wall saying, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?"
Yeah.
And I was like, that's that goth girl. Like, that's exactly what happened with the goth girl in Urban Legend. So I am currently reliving my best like 90s horror moments because Carly's been on a 90s horror binge. We just watched Scream like yesterday. Then I watched this today.
I love Scream.
Yeah, Scream is one of the best movies ever. And in my opinion, that is amazing cinema. Like that is such a good film for so many reasons. And then this, which is basically just urban legend, but as a TV episode with the Winchesters. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I wonder if when he was like, make it scarier, they jokingly ripped off Urban Legend.
Maybe. Or just like 90s slashers.
Just 90s slashers, just full 90s slashers. I don't know.
It's definitely made me want to watch all of those now. I want to watch. Because it reminds me of I Know What You Did Last Summer as well, because of the hook.
Yeah.
Because that's a Hookman.
That is a Hookman, yeah.
Yeah, and Urban Legend. They were the main ones. And then, I love all of those films. And I've been watching loads of 90s films again recently as well and trying to find the original Scream because it's not on anything to stream. But yeah, so I'm just going to buy it at some point, I think, and watch it.
Nothing is ever going to hit like Scream, like the original Scream hit. There are too many incredibly unique things. Not to mention, like, Drew Barrymore actually said she was cast to be like the main part, and she said, "No, I don't want to do that. I want to trick the audience. I want to really get them. I need you to kill me. You need to kill me really. You need to have me long enough in the movie that they think that I'm the main character, and then you need to kill me because no one will expect it, and it will be sick." And it is.
And she was on all the posters and everything, wasn't she? Because I remember it being like, oh, it's got Drew Barrymore in it.
Yeah. Everybody was like, oh, Drew Barrymore is starring. She's going to be this central character. And everyone knows that you don't kill the lead. Like, because then you don't have a film. So she did like the ultimate trick on us. It's so intelligent and so smart. And I love her for this. Because that is one of the bigger twists in the movie. And then there's so many fascinating twists and turns that like you don't see coming. They send you red herring after red herring, misdirection after misdirection. It's so unhinged and so fun, and it's so entrenched in movie culture. Like
Mhm.
that film was made for people who love horror movies.
Yeah, yeah. But it's weird how this is just a Scream podcast now.
It is.
It's
Welcome. Welcome to our new podcast.
yeah. There's something about I remember growing up, and because there were so many films like this, like Scream and like I Know What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend, and they were all those kinds of teenage slashery set in a high school or a
Yeah.
college, and I just ate them up. I loved them so much, but they kind of some people consider those kinds of slasher films to be a bit cheesy, but I love them. I love them.
I think they come with range because I think that, for instance, Scream, peak slasher movie. It's
Yeah,
intelligent. It's so witty. It's funny. It has messages in it that I think are actually good messages.
yeah,
It gives us a really clear crystallization of the final girl as like a
yeah.
main character.
That was the first time I remember kind of understanding that concept, the final girl.
Yeah, yeah. So I was reading up on this, and apparently the very first one was in a film called Black Christmas, which I haven't actually seen yet, but now that I know this, I have to watch it. And I think that came out in about 73. And then after that, you
Okay.
have Laurie Strode and Halloween. And
Oh
then
yeah,
you
I love the
have
Halloween films.
Sydney, and this one, Sydney is one of the very first real final girls. And what's incredible is like that line where she's like, not in my movie. And she shoots him again in the head. Like, I think she does 2 headshots right at the end. She's covered in blood. She's been through hell. And she's like, not in my movie. And I was just like, oh, that is
cool.
so cool. That is so cool because we don't see her being all wrecked and like utterly destroyed and broken. She's not a broken woman at the end of the film. She's just like, no, bitch. And then she kills him. And she stands there, blood soaked, and just like fucked up, having been through this terrible experience. But she in herself is still a complete human being, and she doesn't wilt into this whole damsel in distress, I've been through a terrible situation that we're very used to seeing. Because I feel like in the beginning, they were uncomfortable with letting the female lead have a badass ending, even though males in horror films are allowed to have the badass ending all the time. Sydney, I think, is the first one that I can remember having that like absolute balls of steel, just not in my movie. And Gail as well. Like she and Gail give each other a look, and it's just so powerful, and I love it so much. Yeah, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. This has been a very long tangent.
But yeah, so to bring it back to Supernatural,
the reason why we're here,
it's just because it's so. This episode was just really nostalgic. It reminded me of all of those horror films that I loved when I was a teenager, which are the horror films that got me into horror in the first place.
Exactly.
Right, I'll do the synopsis, shall I?
Okay, fab.
I'll get us back on track. Right, this is season 1, episode 7, Hookman. The original air date for this episode was October 25th, 2005. The Hookman urban legend seems to be coming to life in a small town in Iowa. A frat boy is murdered and hung upside down from a tree while out on a date with his girlfriend Laurie, a local reverend's daughter. Laurie's roommate is then killed and a bloody note left on the wall. Sam and Dean investigate and decide this Hookman must be the spirit of a preacher who killed people he deemed to be immoral, and he now feeds off that energy. Dean finds the grave of this man and destroys his bones, but the Hookman isn't stopped. He attacks Laurie's dad, and they realise the Hookman's spirit is attached to Laurie and is attacking people she thinks has done something wrong and need punishing, including herself, as he then attacks her when she blames herself for everyone else's deaths. Dean and Sam work out that a necklace she wears was made from the original Hookman's hook, so Dean melts the necklace and the Hookman is stopped.
Yay!
Yeah. The opening scene of this was properly 90s horror.
Like this is just straight urban legend. Like this is like exactly one of the scenes from urban legend.
When was did you write down when urban legend was out? I forgot. You said that earlier, I think.
1998, I think. I did write it down, so I do have like an actual hard date in here somewhere.
But it's the whole like late 90s, early 2000s vibes.
Because 1998 was one of the best years for films ever. Like we had so many blockbusters in 98. Like it is considered like one of the best years for movies.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But everything in this scene, this opening scene with there's two girls getting ready. So it's Laurie and her roommate, and she's getting ready to go out on a date. And
Yeah.
like everything, the clothes, the music, I was transported back
Right?
to my
It's
teenage years.
perfect. And it just reminded me of the same banter that I would have with my friends. Because Taylor goes, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And Laurie goes, there's nothing you wouldn't do. And
Yeah.
Taylor goes, that's true. And she's like proud of herself. And I'm just like, this is me talking to my friends. My friends will be like, there's nothing you wouldn't do. And I'll be like, yeah, this is true. And I'm proud of myself. Good for me.
So that's the kind of the opening scene, but the main opening scene, I would call it, is the on the date. So it's kind of like a Lover's Lane type situation, isn't it? But they're in a car under a bridge. That bridge was really cool.
It was
And
really
also,
cool.
We don't have bridges like that here. And it was weird because to start with, I thought we were looking at a tree in the foreground and then them, the car in the background. But it was the hook man, and you didn't realise until, because he brings his arm down and you see the glint of the hook. And I was like, wait, that's a person.
So good. It's so good, and it's so creepy. And I remember watching this episode for the first time, and I was at college, and I was by myself alone, and I was watching it in the dark late at night in an attempt to unwind. And I very quickly was like, I have made an error. And it freaked me out so much the first time I watched it. There were so many points that are so good in it. But that moment where you're like, oh, trees, oh, okay, and it's moonlight and it's dark, and then there's just the slow menace as you see the hook like quietly descend, and he silently starts stalking towards the car, and you just go, oh shit. Oh shit.
It was good.
It's really, really, really good. Did you have any notes on this particular part of the scene? I feel like you would, but
well, only just I was going to go into like how it was just classic Hookman urban legend, because I remember when I was a kid, and I think this was primary school, so I think I was like 10 when I remember talking to friends about all those kinds of urban legend type stories that you'd pass on to your friends, and it was just really fun to tell the stories and scare each other at sleepovers and stuff. And I remember the Hookman one, or I remember a variation, because I did look it up on Wikipedia, which I'll link in the show notes, the Hookman legend, and there's so many different versions of it. And I was like, which is the version that I heard? Because in this scene, it's the version where the boyfriend has got out of the car to go and investigate, and then he disappears, and she gets out of the car, and he's hanging from the tree upside down, and it's his fingernails that were scraping on top of the car that she'd kind of heard.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't remember that. So I was looking it up, and the version that I remember telling my friends and hearing from my friends was the dripping. It was a dripping of the blood on the top.
Right.
And then she getting out of the car, and then her boyfriend was like, I don't know if he was hanging from a tree in the version that I used to tell, or if he was on the top of the car. But anyway, it was the dripping of the blood that she could hear instead of the scraping.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just all so creepy, and it just reminded me of that time.
Yeah, we definitely told Hookman stories. And I think that, so when I was looking at IMDb, and this is all linked in the show notes if you guys want to browse it, but when I was looking at IMDb, they say that this episode is a combination between two. So it's the Lover's Lane Killer and the Hookman. But in my head, they like merge into one. And I didn't really refresh my memory, but like from childhood, it was basically the same situation, because I'm sure the Lover's Lane Killer was a hookman who just killed people who parked to make out.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like either he would be like suspended over something and she'd hear a thud, 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 and she'd come out, and he'd have been absolutely slaughtered, like entrails everywhere, blood and guts everywhere. And it'll be like his body is banging against the car in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Or like she hears the banging noise and she decides she has to get out to see what it is. And she gets out to see what it is, and it's like his death throes, and that's the sound that she's hearing. So like that's another one, but like, I definitely remember at least one version where it's dripping blood.
I remember another one where she hears a thud on the top, and it's his head.
Yes. Yeah, the severed head one.
Yeah.
That one I feel like is, again, like Lover's Lane and Hookman.
It was definitely Lover's Lane type ones. I heard.
They go hand in hand, because I feel like Hookman in all the stories that I heard of Hookman, was always drawn into Lover's Lane. So they're very linked in my childhood. Like, those urban legends are really linked anyway. So it makes sense to me that they would combine them in this episode to create like a super Hookman, I guess.
Is the Lover's Lane killer an urban legend then? Because I always think of like the Zodiac killer when I think of Lover's Lane killers.
That's a really good point. I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's based on a real killing and then it becomes an urban legend, or if it's an urban legend and it's just eerily similar to how some of those went down. Yeah, I don't really know. I did find, for our Easter egg for this episode, I did find a link to real killings. More true crime. Another true crime Easter egg. It's a pretty spooky one. So when we get there, it is.
Okay, it's not for this bit.
Nah. This is all urban legend, lighthearted slasher fun.
So there were some scary bits during the bit. So we kind of skipped ahead to when the boyfriend's already dead, but there were some creepy bits because he's kind of scraping all the signs as he's walking up to them, and that's when we realise that he's invisible to them. We could see him to start with, but the other people don't see him. He's invisible, and he scrapes along the side of the car as well, and that's really creepy.
Yeah, so I had written down the hook drags through the dead end sign and across the 9 Mile Road, because I'm pretty sure that in the Lover's Lane versions that I heard growing up, it's always like 9 Mile Lane or something. I'm sure that that's like linked into the myths.
Okay. Yeah.
So I thought that was really good and creepy and really menacing. But I also thought before that, Laurie's in the car and she's not having a good time. She's on this date and this boy is being kind of rapey. Like,
I noted that as well.
Yeah, he keeps trying to put his hands in places where she's like, no. And then she's like, no, I mean it. And so then when he gets out to go and investigate and she's like, Rich, no. I'm like, why do you care, girl? Let him go. He gets out of the car and then she locks the car, which good drills. Okay, she locks everything. She rolls up the windows. But then what made me laugh a little bit is she's on the inside of the car and she's like, Rich. And I'm like, bitch, you locked him out, which fair play, because he's not a good guy. So now why do you know what you did? Why do you care right now? Like, so then then when she gets out of the car and she sees him and she does the scream. Do you remember before we were talking about in another episode where there's like, it seems odd, there's like a hesitation and then she just does
I wrote that down.
Body scream. And I was like, it's so cartoonish, but I feel like they directed her to do like a standard slasher girl scream.
Yeah, she had to take a very big breath.
She had to take a really big breath. Like, this girl was breathing for days before she does her whole body, and then like her arms even go down to her sides, and she's like, her arms are like little penguin wings, and then her whole head contorts to do the scream. She's like, ah! I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to blow out our mics. But yeah, that was a lot. I just put my notes say Laurie locks the car and proceeds to call for Rich while leaving him totally locked out, which fair, actually, he was very gross.
Yeah, I'd written, and in my notes I'd written, no means no, boyfriend guy. And then on the scream I'd written that it was very delayed at the end of the scene. And I put, they seem to do this a lot. Is it because they think the viewer needs a chance to kind of catch up and see what's going on before she screams? But I was I don't feel like I really need that.
No, I don't either. I feel like they're troping. I feel like they are troping hard, where it's just like those scenes where the scream is like there's a minute as if the character is so much in shock and they're processing it and then they scream. And some people do this well, but like this one and in the Wendigo episode with delayed scream.
Yeah.
This is a strange choice that we're making. It just feels cartoonish. Like, I don't think there's a better word than cartoonish. It is very entertaining, but it's silly entertaining, not scary entertaining.
It'll be interesting to see if they keep doing it in different episodes. But she actually does it again in this episode with when the roommate dies as well. It wasn't quite as much of a delay, but it was very much I need to take a big deep breath and do a big scream.
Yeah. That is such a good way of putting it, because that is so what's going on.
Yeah.
Also, I've written down that she is literally like, I feel like they're making her also a little bit of Laurie Strode. So they called her Laurie, and then her surname
Yeah.
is also, it's like, I can't remember what it is. It's like
I didn't write it down
Strabeck or
either.
something.
It
It's
does
like,
begin with an S.
it's very similar. And then if you look at
Yeah.
her wardrobe is so similar to Laurie's wardrobe in Halloween. Like, it's weirdly similar. So I feel like they're setting her up to be like a Scream Queen, Laurie Strode kind of a reference.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was really fun and really interesting.
Sorensen, their
That's
name
it.
is.
That's it.
Sorensen.
So similar. It's so similar. And like her hair and just the way she's styled and the way she's like set up to be more conservative than the rest of her friends, just like Laurie.
Yeah.
It's just the little sweater set kind of situation. I was just like, I see what you're doing and I like it.
Yeah. And her friend at the beginning, when she was getting changed, she's like, I know there's a hot girl in there somewhere.
Yep. It's all the same kind of vibe. Like, they both have like more fun, outgoing friends who are trying to encourage them to actually like live their lives.
Yeah.
So that they don't stay so introverted and just not experience everything that life has to offer. And yeah, that's definitely a repeated theme.
Yeah. But yeah, I loved that whole, I'm going to call it the opening scene, even though there was that little bit before. But I thought it was so good, a good opener, and like kind of scary, creepy, nostalgia, everything was there that I wanted.
It was perfect.
It was really good.
Honestly, in the way that they filmed, I still can't get over the way that they filmed that transition from just the trees to the hook man just coming out, and then the hook going through the dead end sign. Classic. Classic. So good.
Oh, the bit where all the windows blow out and the tires get burst as well. That bit was really scary. I was thinking like that would be so scary.
It's terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. That was actually a really scary kill scene, and I really, really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the next scene is Sam and Dean in the cafe courtyard, and Dean's taking the piss out of Sam for ordering a vanilla latte, and I was like, hey, don't knock vanilla lattes.
He says,
nothing wrong with vanilla latte, Dean.
He says, you're a half-calf double vanilla latte. It's getting cold over here, Francis. And that cracked me up. I was like, that is so funny. And Sam goes, bite me.
Yeah, I liked it. I was like, don't worry, Sam, I'll let you have your vanilla latte.
I like a good vanilla latte.
But he'd been on the phone trying to find out something about the dad or something, and then Dean was researching the guy. He's found out about this guy Rich, who was the frat boy. He was killed, Laurie's boyfriend, and he thinks it might be quite interesting because he notes that the witness had said that the killer was invisible, so he thinks it's their kind of investigation.
Yeah. So Sam says the mutilated body was found near the victim's car parked on 9 Mile Road. Dean says, keep reading. Sam goes, authorities are unable to provide a realistic description of the killer. The sole eyewitness, whose name has been withheld, is quoted as saying the attacker was invisible. And Dean goes, could be something interesting. And Sam's like, or it could be nothing at all. One freaked out witness who didn't see anything doesn't mean it's the invisible man. And Dean goes, but what if it is? Dad would check it out. So I feel like, Sam. Yeah. Shut up, Sam. So we again have Dean being like, come on. Let's save people and hunt things and not...
We might find Dad.
Exactly.
He might be there.
But what I thought was really interesting, the Invisible Man reference and the little token Invisible Man moments in this episode, is the original Invisible Man and also the remakes also have that creepy, kind of rapey overtone, honestly, which is echoed in the beginning of the episode with her creepy boyfriend. And then we find out that the origin story of this guy is that he got really outraged by sex workers and went off and killed a load of sex workers. So I just feel like that kind of like weird, gross, male dominating puritanical need is what is driving. Yeah. It's driving the monster. It's very hypocritical.
That really pissed me off when I say about that later.
Yeah. I think we have some high quality rants coming up soon. I can sense it brewing. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting reference to make because of that particular reason, basically. So
Yeah.
I was like, interesting reference you've made there.
So they do decide to go and investigate, and they go to the college campus, and so they're pretending to be new frat brothers, I guess.
Yeah.
And this is where I made a link to Urban Legend as well, because most of that was set around a university, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. They're college kids out doing college kid stuff.
And then, but when they show up, some of the frat boys are working on a car, and Dean says "nice wheels" to them, and the look that kid gives him, I'm like, you would think he's just watched them pull up in a really cool car, and then he gets out of his car and says his car's cool. Wouldn't you have a bit of a conversation and some banter rather than just giving him the death stare? I was like,
I think
it's a nice car.
I think it's because like he's clearly putting together a pile of shit car. Like it's an old car that he's trying to sort out. And then Dean Winchester rocks up with Baby, who is a flawless 67 Chevy, an Impala, okay? And he's like, bitch, please. Like, I know what I have here is a pile of trash. Don't insult my intelligence.
So he's jealous.
Yeah, it's jealousy. That's how it came across to me.
But you think they're both like men who clearly like cars. You think they'd still, like, oh yeah, I like yours too, mate, or something, whatever.
No, he was just weird and bitchy, that guy.
Yeah. So then they go inside and there's more weird boys. They go and talk to Purple Ronnie.
Purple Ronnie.
The other frat boy was killed. I don't know if is Purple Ronnie American or is that just an English thing?
I think that's just an English thing.
That was Vimto. Did you have Vimto? Vimto advert?
No, Purple Ronnie? Do not. We do not have that.
Okay, that's an English thing then.
Yeah.
So they go and see he's just this guy that's painted purple. Do they do that for like football or something?
Yeah, so he's painting himself in the team colors for a game. And then he asks them to like help him out because he can't paint his own back very well, and you can see where it's like half done. And Dean points to Sam and he says he's the artist, the things he can do with a brush. And Sam looks humiliated and picks up the brush and the can, and then Dean sits on the chair and picks up a magazine. And then he starts asking this kid whose name is Murph if what he's heard about the kill is true, like was somebody actually killed. And they're having the conversation, and then this is when they introduce like Laurie, and they're saying, "Who is Laurie Sorensen?" And then Dean turns to Sam and goes, "You missed a spot just down there on the back." Sam looks really annoyed, and Dean grins.
That was funny.
Yeah. And then Murph goes, "Laurie's a freshman. She's a local, super hot, and get this, she's the Reverend's daughter." And he says it in this gross frat boy way, and I'm just like, get a life, Murph. Like, your purple ass. Like, shut the fuck up. And then
shut up, Purple Ronnie.
And then Dean is asking like where they are, and so they find out that it's at the church. And so Sam and Dean go into the church. They're in the middle of this like sermon, and they slam the door on the way
that
out.
Was funny. They will look around at them.
It's so funny. They sit down, and the thing that I love in the transcript is it says Sam and Dean sit down. Laurie stares at Sam, and he smiles weakly at her. Because he's so
he smiles at her.
Weekly. Yeah. It's because she turns around to be like, "What is going on?" And Sam gives like this pathetic smile, and it's this funny, awkward moment that is kind of cute.
Yeah, well, his pathetic smile. I put that as the first trap. How he looks at her.
I knew it. Yeah,
and I wrote, Laurie like Sam. Is Sam gonna get the girl this time?
Yeah.
I read that the first time I watched it.
I knew it. Yeah.
Also, fun fact.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Did you recognise the Reverend?
I did not.
Oh, I was racking my brains for ages, so I had to look it up. He was Bulldog from Frasier.
No.
I was like, he looks so familiar. He's definitely in something.
Oh,
and about halfway through the episode, I had to look it up. And I was like, oh yeah.
Did Bulldog. You find the Gilmore Girls reference?
No.
So the kid who plays Rich plays... So this is going to be complicated to say. Sam, who is Dean Forrester in Gilmore Girls. Okay, the Padalecki. All right, he plays his friend in Gilmore Girls. So Rich and Sam, who is Dean, are friends in Gilmore Girls, and this is
totally
him.
didn't notice that.
Yeah. This is them in an episode again together, but on a different show. I thought that
I didn't recognise him. I'm going to have to look that up later because I did not recognise him at all. And I've watched Gilmore Girls like about 10 times all the way through, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did you have anything to say else about the service? Otherwise, it's after the service and they go and speak to her outside.
Yeah. So, because here's the thing, is when they're theorizing about why Taylor gets killed, they say because Taylor tried to turn Laurie into a party girl. It's like, let's discuss what Taylor actually does, okay? Taylor helps her friend find an outfit so that she can feel confident and hot on her date. It's not even like I have worn things so much sluttier than what she was wearing in that episode. Like, it's like a red shirt that like V-necks down. You see the littlest amount of cleavage and like a denim skirt. Like, it's honestly no big deal. It's no big deal. No. And she doesn't push her to wear it. She encourages her to try it. And then Laurie's like, yeah, I'll go out on my date. And then she goes out on her date and her boyfriend's gross. And then he gets murdered. Happy days. And then they're outside the church and Laurie's saying, I can't, it's Sunday night. And Taylor says, it's just us girls. We're going to do tequila shots and watch Reality Bites, which is like kind of like a rom-com from the 90s. So she said, let's have a couple of shots of tequila on a weekend night and watch a girls movie.
Yeah, inside.
These are her crimes. She said, wear a cute outfit on a date. Let's have a few shots of tequila and stay in and watch a movie together. Like, oh my, you guys, turning her into a party girl? Are you stupid? Are you stupid? I just couldn't. I couldn't. And then Taylor's saying, come on, Laurie, I know this has been hard, but you're allowed to have fun. And Laurie says, I'll try. And Taylor rolls her eyes. And then she says, okay. And then they hug each other. But it's like BFF vibes. You know what I'm saying? And then Sam and Dean come up to have this conversation with Laura. So you go ahead, Laura.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I was just going to say they speak to her after the service. And I like how this scene kind of shows how the brothers are like a well-oiled machine when it comes to things like this. Because the Reverend then comes over and Dean kind of ushers him away so that Sam can keep talking to her to find out the details. So that's all I really had about that bit. And they get information about what the police think happened.
So this is, I feel like, a perfect point to insert my creepy Easter egg. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to give you the true crime Easter egg.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Because it is creepy. So basically here in this episode, they talk about the possibility of it being like a transient. They specifically use that term. And then when Dean is trying to distract the dad, he says about a Sunday school. Like, he says, we're looking for a good Sunday school. Now, do you remember last show's Easter egg where I talk about the Basilica axe murders and Henry Moore, who was the guy who they were like, oh, we think that he did this and he might also be Jack the Ripper?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not going to go into full details about all of this, but you guys, this will all be linked to the show notes. Go and read the Wikipedia link that I put in there. I have a theory. I want you guys to read it and then tell me. I have a theory because there's a female witness who said that she heard 3 men plotting the murderers beforehand. And if you look through the suspect sheets, there are 3 men, including Henry Moore, who are very likely to have committed the crime. One of them was, get this, a reverend who has a history of like going after women. Just like the Reverend in this story who becomes the hook man, there are very strong parallels. And the place where they say that they are, I think they say Ackerman or something like that. I looked it up and it's a suburb, or it's part of Des Moines. And that covers Basilica and the Basilica axe murders. So the breakdown of it is that 6 members of the Moore family of Basilica and 2 house guests were brutally murdered in 1912, and the crime has still never been solved. So we continue with the axe murders that have never been solved and are freaky, and also seem to be connected to a whole load of other murders. So again, my current theory is that we're being led down these creepy Easter eggs that the writers have set for us as we're following the boy's journey. So we're going through like Route 66, which is super famous and super fucking haunted. And we keep landing in these towns that actually have these histories that tie into the show. And the brutality of the killings is a little bit different, but ties in so well with the storyline of this one. I'm not going to relate like all of it, but briefly, I will say that the assailant murdered the family in their sleep, killing them with an axe. Most of them were killed by bludgeoning rather than hacking motions. Their heads were all covered. All the mirrors in the house were covered, and all the windows in the house were also covered, which gives it kind of a supernatural, creepy element. At each scene, there was one sort of like lamp that was left lit in a very particular way, and the killer or killers cleaned themselves before they left. The aprons, skirts, and different things that were used to cover the windows link into a bunch of other unsolved axe murders and follow a whole bunch of other of these cases. So it seems like possibly 3 men, all serial killers, all committed these highly ritualized acts. These are all unsolved cases, but they all have these specific links and these very creepy details. So if you go through and read in the show notes, the Wikipedia article, if you read that whole thing, you're going to immediately know exactly what I'm talking about. And you guys write in and let us know if you agree with my theory and you think that it was these 3 men, including the Reverend. So I think it was Henry Moore, the Reverend that's mentioned. I think he did do it. And then there was another gentleman, Mulland, I think is mentioned. But yeah, George Kelly is the name of the Reverend. He was a traveling preacher. He was tried and acquitted of the crime. But what's crazy is they tried him multiple times, and he also confessed a bunch of times too. But they still let him go in the end. Like the twists and turns in these cases is wild. But that's my creepy Easter egg for you, is there really was a Reverend who was involved in a series of murders very similar to this. So again, supernatural.
So they think that they were working together, those 3?
Or
just happened to be working at the same time?
So they all were such strong suspects that they were all tried. And then 1 or 2 of them, I think, had an alibi, but then those alibis were later disproved, and they never made a firm arrest in any of these cases. There was like, I want to say between 6 and 11 series of murders where there's multiple murders in a place. So you have like the New Orleans Axeman, you have the Basilica Axe murders, and then you have a string of axe murders in the early 1900s. And one of their theories was that because a lot of these killings took place near where there was a railroad or rail station, that they thought it was this one guy traveling and following the tracks. I actually think it was a group of men who were of a similar mindset. And I think that they created these ritualized killings as they went along, noticed each other from the headlines probably, and then eventually would group together. And I suspect that they did the Basilica Axe murders together because there was a female witness who came forward to say that she was walking home late at night, going via the woods. So they didn't see her. And I don't think she saw them, but she heard them plotting to commit the murder. Did you say that sounds so fake?
No, I said that sounds safe. Walking through the woods on the road at night.
I was like, what? Yeah, no. So she actually came forward to say that she heard 3 men plotting the killings. And the thing is that in the Basilica case, there's like 11 people in that house, and they all died for the most part in their sleep, with the exception of maybe 2 of them. That's really hard to do. Like it takes some welly to hit somebody that hard to kill them, and you're not going to be able to do that quietly.
You think one of them might wake up
that's
as well.
Going to be a big thunk. So like with that many people asleep in the house, I don't see how one person is going to be able to do that by themselves unless they previously drugged the family or something like that. Like, I just don't see how that's plausible. But if there are multiple people, if there are 3 men and they attacked simultaneously the different floors, they also found multiple cigarettes up in the attic. And they thought that the killer or killers, which I think, again, killers, had hidden themselves in the house and waited until after midnight. So they were already in the house. And then they used the axe that belonged to the dad. So also in each of these cases, the weapon that was used belonged to the household itself.
Oh, that's creepy. So you go in without actually knowing how you're going to do it.
So you go in knowing that there's an axe because of the time period. Every household is going to have an axe in order to chop firewood for the fires. And fireplaces are really common. So like everywhere is going to have an axe, even if it's just for slaughtering the chicken for dinner. But I wonder whether or not, if it's multiple people, if they just had if they also have their own axes.
Yeah. Because I suppose it could be possible if they were all asleep and they managed to kill them without any of them waking up. But then if there's 11, the chances of that happening are pretty slim, you'd think.
Yeah. So the only 2 that it looks like something happened, like maybe they were awake and put up a struggle, were the parents who were asleep in the upstairs bedroom. They were attacked a lot more brutally. And so like there's a theory that they were done first. I'm not sure that's true. I think maybe they were killed last. But I haven't been able to look at like all of the details because I didn't want to do too much research and make us a true crime podcast inadvertently. But my theory is that there were multiple killers, that it was these 3 men, and that a lot of the unsolved axe murders from this time period could be solved if we looked at the 3 of them coming together to commit some of the crimes. That's my theory. Very similarly to like the Boston Strangler, where they think that the Boston Strangler is more than one man.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've definitely heard about the axe murders on different podcasts before. I'm not sure if I've heard that theory. I'm gonna have to do some more research now.
This is my very own conspiracy. This is my own John Winchester like conspiracy theory. But yeah, everything's going to be linked neatly in my show notes. My show notes this time will not be total chaos. They're very organized and very tidy for you guys. So you won't be looking at an insane conspiracy board like you were last time and the time before that. But yeah, that's my super creepy Easter egg for this episode. We can thank the writers for that. Like they are taking us on a wild ride. Like this is episode 7. So far in basically every single episode where I've looked, there has been something that links up. And I'm very curious if this whole thing continues through the whole series, if there's always something super creepy at every single place that they go to, because like, how cool is that?
That is cool. Is this something that you've looked at before, or just this time you're rewatching it, you're making these links?
This is the first time because I can't remember what it was that was said in the episode that made me go, I wonder. But it was as soon as I realized that it was an X-Files writer, because I do know, I was aware already that in the X-Files, they would base things on actual headlines and things that had happened, or like strange and weird events. So stuff like Roswell and things that have been reported about Roswell and things like that would get in there.
Yeah.
And I figured that in order to write for the show, they probably had a pretty hefty research team, and the writers were pretty used to looking at spooky things. And if you're a writer for a horror show, you probably enjoy looking at spooky things. But it's weird because I don't actually really like true crime, like
I do.
at all normally. And I wouldn't say that I like true crime from this, but it falls into like my special interest of like researching surrounding the show. So since Supernatural is like a special interest for me, the fact that there's a possibility that an X-Files writer came in and the track that the boys are following is actually following like real unsolved scary cases that feed into this idea of like monsters and supernatural, that is cool to me. So I will keep bringing up terrifying Easter eggs in all the places that I find them.
That's good, because I'm enjoying them. As a true crime fan myself, I'm enjoying all your
you're
Easter
like,
eggs.
yes, tell me more.
Well, I wasn't planning on having a true crime podcast, but I'm enjoying it. Right, so the next scene is Sam and Dean researching at the library. You know how I like the researching.
I had this written down. I was like, there will be Laura thirst traps right here because people are being smart.
I actually wrote one down for here, but I think it's just a given whenever they're researching, just a blanket thirst trap.
Yeah.
So Sam tells Dean, he's kind of telling him what else he found out from Laurie the night of the murder. And they make the link to the Hookman urban legend at this point as well themselves. And they are looking through a whole load of arrest records going back to 1851. And this is where they find out about the preacher who they think is then now the Hookman. So he was I did write down a quote. So he says this preacher was so angry over the red light district in town that one night he killed 13 prostitutes. And I was like, so you don't like something and you resort to murder. How hypocritical of a preacher.
I know, right? Like, their crime is what, the sin of immorality or something. So he decides that he's just going to go straight through, break is it the 10th commandment? Where it's like, thou shalt not murder. This man is straight through, like, breaking the commandment, being like, I'm going to murder these hosts.
So it's not okay to be in sex work, but it's okay to murder 13 people.
Right?
Okay.
Like, the actual hypocrisy. Like, the ridiculous hypocrisy of it all. It's just, I can't.
And you just know that he wouldn't have seen that. He wouldn't have seen the irony or the hypocrisy himself. He wouldn't have seen it.
No.
At this point, I thought on my first watch through, I thought that this meant it was going to be linked to the Reverend, to Bulldog, to Laurie's dad.
Yeah.
Because of this, but it's not really linked to him in the end. But it kind of planted that seed for me at the first time I watched it.
Yep. I also really like the line where I did put some thirst traps here, actually, when they are researching. And I also have down where Dean says, "Nice job, Dr. Venkman. Let's check it out."
Oh, yeah.
Because
I wrote that one down too.
Yeah, the Ghostbuster reference. Because they're busting a ghost. I was like that. That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
I did like that. I wrote that one down, a bit Ghostbusters reference.
Mm-hmm.
The only bit we've missed talking about is that they find out the Reverend, the hypocritical Reverend, had a silver hook instead of a hand.
Yes.
And he also used to hang some of his victims upside down from trees. And it all took place on the same road that the
9
victims
mile road
were on from the beginning.
Yeah.
So and it all links in a nice little bow.
Can I just say, good preacher, sir, how did you know who the prostitutes were? How did you know who the sex workers were in your day? What were you doing in the red light district?
Preaching. Murdering.
Preaching murder.
Preaching murder. So, Laurie and her dad are then in the car. So he's dropping her off at her sorority house.
Yeah.
And he's basically moaning. He doesn't like that she lives in the sorority house because of the drinking and the partying. And he doesn't like her roommate. So again, when she then died, I thought, it's him.
Yeah.
Because I was still thinking it must be linked to him.
Yeah. I wrote some of these lines down. I wrote some of these down because I was like, sir. So he says, that's not it. I worry about you. And Laurie says there are 22 girls in there and it's perfectly safe. Like, I am okay. There's 22 of us. We're good. And he says, that's exactly what I'm worried about. You don't think I know what goes on in there? I'm like, good sir, what do you think happens in a sorority? Like, what are you, in your twisted little brain, what are you thinking is going on? I was like, immediate
I guarantee it's not what's actually going on. They're just watching rom-coms and drinking tequila.
Yeah. And then he says, Laurie says, Dad, do we have to have this argument again? I'm over 18. I can live my own life. And he says, oh, which means drinking, partying with that roommate of yours. And I'm like, is there a little bit of queer coding happening here, sir? What are you thinking they're getting up to? Because, like, she's literally watching movies with her friend in her room. Like, I can't. It's just the men's hypocrisy and need to control everything is strong in this episode. And it goes well with the slasher theme.
I noted the creepy scratches on the wall. That I
Yeah,
was like, is that the hook
that is
marks?
definitely the hook. Yeah.
So it's making us think he's in there somewhere already. And then
Yeah.
she goes to her room, and the roommate's asleep. Oh, and then it cuts to Sam and Dean again, checking out the murder site. Oh, this bit was weird. So they were checking out the murder site. They'd gone to the bridge, and they had rock salt bullets or shells.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that?
I mean, I think you can fill the shells with anything you want. For like, if
Yeah, I
it's like a
suppose so.
buckshot shell or something, you can just
Yeah,
fill it with what you want. So they just put rock salt in it, and I think that, like, I feel like, call me crazy, but I'm pretty sure that rock salt in like some buckshot shells is actually a thing that happens in the actual world.
okay.
I didn't look it up, but I'm pretty. It's supposed to be like a non-lethal deterrent or something. So I don't think that that's that crazy. And they put down the lore that like they say salt being a spirit deterrent, which we've
Yeah,
already discussed before in the folklore that's accurate. So that is true.
yeah.
Now, would I shoot a ghost with rock salt? I probably would, because chaos. Fuck around and find out. Like what
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they've shot at a ghost, so
I mean, at least this time Dean shooting at ghosts is effective, because he's actually thought through what's in his bullets. So
they've realised that it didn't work with bullets, so we'll make it salt this time.
yeah. Well, what I thought was so funny was like when they're driving up, it's the guys in the car, the headlights of the car are on, and they also have a flashlight like on, hanging out the, and I'm like, good sirs, what are you? How is your flashlight competing with your headlights? That was so funny. It looked cool, and it leads into like flashlight horror. But I was like, guys, what are we doing?
I
That
totally
was
didn't notice
so
that.
funny. So then they have the whole rock salt banter. And we get some spooky music. And like Sam is getting the gun out and aiming the gun. Like, because there's movement. And it turns out it's the sheriff, and the sheriff charges out and is telling them to like disarm themselves and lie down on the ground, and like all that. He's shouting, and Dean on the side, by the way, is going, "What? He had the gun? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know this man. I am not involved. Like, leave me alone." He completely sells Sam out. Like,
it was as if like, why are you telling me off? He's the one doing something wrong.
yeah.
There was another quote before that though, because I had a thirst trap, so I'm just going to go back a couple of lines. So
Sure.
Dean says, "You don't have to be a college graduate to be a genius," and he does a little smile after that line, and I liked that.
Yeah, that's fair. That was a good smirk. Anytime Dean Winchester smirks, it's a good time.
Yeah.
And then
I did say it was pretty fair that the sheriff arrested them, because they were pointing a gun at him.
so then my next note is where we cut to Laurie's bedroom in the morning. So like right before the morning scene, you see the Hookman is behind her door. Like cuts back during the dark, and then it's the morning, but you just see Hookman was there. And then that's so creepy. There's a creepy musical scene, and then there's this huge puddle of blood. And Taylor is extremely dead. Dead on the bed. And I wrote down, "God forbid you have fun if you're a girl." Because this is where I had my little rant. I was like, Taylor suggests a hot outfit, not even a wild one. Wants her to have a few shots and watch a rom-com on a weekend. Oh no. And that's why she got murdered. And I was just like, this is some bullshit.
Yeah. Yes.
And then it's written in blood on the wall, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" And I was like, bitch, this is urban legend with the goth girl. This is the goth girl scene. Like, this is the whole scene. So just lifted from urban legend. And Laurie is full Laurie Strode. And I put down like all of her outfits and her reactions and like everything that's going on is building her into Laurie Strode in this moment. And I thought that was so like a good reference, but also kind of funny.
Yeah. And this is where she sees her dead roommate, and then big pause, scream.
Yep. And I have the boys then realize that something's going on. They've been released from being held. Dean gets Sam out.
This was funny. Yeah.
Some wit.
He's telling them that he's a pledge or something for the fraternity.
Yeah.
They were hazing him.
Yeah. And then they sneak up to the crime scene, and I put thirst trap because Dean sneaking around that corner, looking around. I was just like, that is a thirst trap. And they're climbing up, and Dean says, dude, sorority girls think we'll see a naked pillow fight. And I put blurg. I said, take this line out of my Winchester's mouth. Where it's like, keep my wife's name out of your mouth. I was like, take this line out of Dean Winchester's mouth. That was not Dean. But I think we start to see from this episode, we start to see the real crystallization of them as characters. So remember when I said Sam's the sensitive one and Dean is like the playboy? This starts here. Okay. And this kind of like starts to crystallize and take shape, and they define the characters more. And so Dean starts becoming more of like a player. And this is the beginning of that. And I'm just like, deep sigh. Deep sigh.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to like him as much if he's like that.
They're climbing in through the window, and it's, hey, be quiet. You be quiet. You be quiet. As they're like trying to fall through this window into the crime scene. I died. So funny.
Also, they've just been arrested. They're creeping around in this house. They've literally like 2 feet away from another like law enforcement officer at this point. I'm like, do you want to get arrested again? Because if they find you in the crime scene, they're going to be like, wow, we've seen you twice now. This is clearly you. And they're going to get arrested daylight. Again.
I know that they're sneaking, right? Like, I get it. And I understand. Like, we see them, that they're going around the corners and they're checking and they're looking from high places. But even so, like, it really is broad daylight on an active investigation. Like, the crime scene is still actively being investigated. You see cops everywhere. This has just been reported. And the boys are like, you know what's a good idea? Is we should break into this crime scene immediately.
While they're all still there.
Oh, God, it's so funny. So then they start... I feel like Go ahead.
I don't know if this is going to be before what you said or after, but I was just going to say the only kind of important part from this, the reason they broke in is because they then find the symbol.
Yes.
And it's the same symbol as on the hook or the glove or something of the preacher. It's in all the research about the preacher anyway.
Yeah. And they say they've added to the show lore, because I have never heard this before in my life. They say it's definitely a spirit. I've never smelled ozone this strong before. So now in show lore, smelling ozone, which is usually a sign that it's about to rain, apparently means that there's a ghosty wosty.
I wrote that down as well, and I put question marks because I was like, why would you smell ozone for a ghost? But anyway.
I don't know. Just inexplicable show lore, inexplicable show lore.
Okay.
So then the next note that I have is where Dean and Sam are talking about what's going on. And Dean says, I think your little friend Laurie has something to do with this.
Yeah. Is that before or after they say about the unmarked grave? Is that before that?
I think so.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they say it's the same spirit because that's the same symbol as Jacob Carnes. And then they say, and then Dean says, all right, let's find this dude's grave, salt and burn the bones and put him down. And then they're in the library and Sam's reading. It says, after execution, Jacob Carnes was laid to rest in an Old North cemetery in an unmarked grave. Both of them look super annoyed because that is going to be difficult.
Because handy.
Yep. And then they go into a college party because they're looking for Laurie. And Dean's like...
because he thinks it's to do with her because she's left a note on the windscreen or something, hasn't she?
Yes.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah. So Dean says, man, you've been holding out on me. This college thing is awesome. And then he winks at this girl that's passing by. And then Sam goes, that wasn't really my experience. And Dean goes, let me guess, library, studying, straight A's. Sam nods, what a geek.
I loved that bit.
It was so funny. He goes, all right.
I liked how Sam nodded as well, because he was just, the way he nods, you can't really explain it on a podcast, but yeah.
Yeah. He's just nodding along like, yeah, everything you're saying is true. It's so funny. And Sam says, yeah, it was bugging me, right? So how is the hook man tied up with Laurie? So I think I came up with something. And that's the piece of paper that you're talking about. And Dean says, 1932, clergyman arrested for murder, 1967, seminarian held in hippie rampage. Which, can we just say hippie rampage? Funny. And then Sam says there's a pattern here in both cases. The suspect was a man of religion who openly preached against immorality and then found himself wanted for killings he claimed were the work of an invisible force. Killings carried out, get this, with a sharp instrument. Joyce's axe. Joyce's axe man. And so Dean says, what's the connection to Laurie? And Sam says, a man of religion who openly preaches against immorality. And Dean's like, aha, except for maybe this time, instead of saving the whole town, he's just trying to save his only daughter. And then they start theorizing that it's the Reverend.
Which I'd already got to about 2 scenes before this. I was like, oh, they'd think that as well. This is the first time I watched it. I was like, well, I'd already thought that. Come on, catch up, boys. We were both wrong, but still.
Yeah. So... Oh yeah, so you were way ahead. You were way ahead. You get all the gold stars. So then they talk about a poltergeist and talking about how the spirit latches onto the Reverend's repressed emotions, feeds off of them, and then the Reverend never even knows it, and that this is what's going on here. So they say we need to keep an eye on Laurie. So Dean says, you got to keep an eye on her, and Sam says, what about you? Dean looks at an attractive blonde smiling at him by the pool table. Dean, reluctantly, I'm going to go see if I can find that unmarked grave. He looks at the blonde again, shakes his head in disappointment, and walks away.
I'd written down that Dean's going to go and search for an unmarked grave, although he'd rather be at the party with the college girls.
Yeah, same thing. So then we're at this creepy-ass graveyard at night. He's looking around by the light of a flashlight. It's super misty. Like, it's great. And it's so creepy. I'm living my best life watching this scene. And Dean goes, that's it. Next time I get to watch the cute college girl's house. He's sweaty. His muscles are rippling. He's digging up the grave of a murderous preacher. And it's a thirst trap. If you thought I was going to say thirst trap, you're right. I am going to say thirst trap because, oh my God, the Jensen Ackles of it all.
I did have that one. I think I've got it a bit later on, but I'd put, is it when he was actually in the grave digging, yeah?
Yeah, he's actually in the grave digging, and that's when he
I had
says
that one down as well.
Yeah. But you were right.
The bit, but just before that, because it's one of those scenes where they keep cutting between Sam and then Dean, and then Sam and then Dean.
Yeah.
So Sam is originally at Laurie's house, and I don't know if you noticed, because I watch everything with the captions on. I don't quite know why I do that, I just always have. And it tells you the whole conversation that Laurie and her dad were having, which you can't actually hear. So I don't know why it was on the subtitles, on the captions.
They must be getting their subtitles directly from the script. Tell me everything.
So so Sam's hanging around outside Laurie's dad's house, and they're having an argument. You can't really hear them, and I bet their conversation comes up on the captions, so I wrote it down. So Laurie says, oh, and what, you're in love? And the Reverend says, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. I know she's in an unhappy relationship. She intends on getting a divorce. Laurie says, Jesus Christ. And then the Reverend says, don't use that language. Listen, this is a difficult situation. And then it cuts to Dean digging.
Wow.
So we get...
hypocrisy.
We understand kind of the gist of it when she goes to talk to Sam afterwards, but I just thought it was interesting that you could hear their whole conversation, even though you couldn't.
That is fascinating. That adds to it, I feel like. So the next thing that I have is when Laurie catches Sam. So she goes outside.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, can I have a flag.
Oh, what is it?
It's a stupid one, but when Dean is digging, which I also had as the thirst trap, and he says, that's it, next time I get to watch the cute girl's house. I've put, he's dug a perfect rectangular grave. like when they do when they're actually burying the coffins.
Yeah. I mean, what can we say? He's an efficient digger.
It was perfect. It was a perfect rectangle.
It's perfect. A little too perfect. Okay. Yeah. So Laurie catches Sam and she says, I saw you from upstairs. What are you doing here? And he says, keeping an eye on the place. I was worried. He looks adorable. He looks adorably put off to like have been caught spying on her house.
I was gonna say he does, but that would be really creepy. If I was Laurie, I'd be like, "What are you doing here, you weirdo? Why are you looking in my house in the middle of the night?"
She is bewitched by the Winchester charm, clearly, because he says, "I was worried," and then she says, "Oh, it's cool. I already called the cops," which like. That would be a legitimate response to finding a man that you do not know at your house.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching you. Okay? What like I can't. So then they have a conversation and then they have this heart to heart. She goes to kiss him and I was like, that's weird. I'm actually realizing that I've skipped over a little bit here though, because she says, it's like I'm cursed or something. People around me keep dying. And Sam says, I think I know how you feel. And it's like an emotional moment because he's obviously referring to himself and Jess and everything that's happened. Then we cross cut again. Dean's burning the bones. And I put Dean lit by a burning murder skeleton. Hot.
Some of the things we pick out as thirst traps are a bit, I'll say, funny.
I am full Wednesday Addams with so many of these. So then Laurie's talking to Sam and it cuts back to them and Laurie's saying he's seen a woman, a married woman. I just found out. She comes to our church with her husband. I know her kids. And he talks to me about religion, about morality. And I'm like, this is exactly the puritanical hypocrisy that led to things like the Salem witch trials. Like, and obviously this weird reverend back in the day who snapped and killed all these poor innocent sex workers. Like, honestly, what is it? Why are they like this?
And then she says something about that she was raised to believe that if you do something wrong, you will be punished. So she's like, that's her pointing out the hypocrisy of her dad.
Yes, which is both good and also foreshadowing. Then she kisses Sam, and I just wrote weird.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that Sam is hot. I understand that she's moved that this incredibly good-looking tall man has decided to watch over her, which she's decided is what's happening. Would I just...
And she's also decided that that's romantic instead of weird.
That's romantic instead of creepy, right? Okay, so there's a couple of things happening. But she's supposed to be this very morally conservative person. But then she, after her guy that she was seeing who was a jerk, and don't get me wrong, he was a jerk, so I wouldn't be sad about this either. But she's immediately kissing Sam. It just felt so weird.
Oh, I know what happened, Joy. It was that damn Taylor. It was Taylor's fault. Let's blame Taylor.
Taylor's terrible influence, okay? With
even from beyond the grave.
Low-key movies. Maybe have a couple of shots of tequila. The terrible influence of Taylor. Yeah. Wild. Girls gone wild. So then Sam says, Laurie, I can't. And she says, oh, that's someone you lost. And there's like this sad, poignant kind of situation. And then you see her dad come up to the door to start talking to Laurie again. So there's Sam and Laurie there. And he's like opening his mouth to say something, being like, Laurie, come back inside. And she's angry at him. And then the hook man comes out of absolutely nowhere, emerges from the shadows, and thrusts his hook into the dad's neck. Like, it's violent and brutal, and it's a good jump scare.
That was. I noted that one. It got me.
Yep.
So he's stabbed through the neck by the hook man, and then Sam just grabs the gun and runs inside, like straight into the danger. And I was like, "That's hot.
That is hot.
Thirst trap.
That is a thirst trap. That was very hot. That was very hot." He hears Reverend Sorensen screaming upstairs, who is still screaming, no, no, please, no. Sam runs upstairs and sees the Reverend bedroom door shutting. He runs into the bedroom and sees the hookman about to put the hook into the Reverend again. He's screaming, no. Sam shoots Hookman in the side. the hookman turns to dust basically, and the gun blast shatters the bedroom window, and Laurie starts running up the stairs, and then the screen goes black, and then they're in the hospital.
On the first watch through, I made a note to say, why in this show do they insist on shooting ghosts all the time? But then I realised on the second watch that he's still got those rock salt rounds in, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll let him have it this time.
You were like, I'll allow it because that actually makes sense.
Yeah, shooting ghosts.
Yep, as you do. Okay.
Yeah.
So my next note is they're in the hospital, and Sam is talking to the sheriff. I also thought that all the yes sir, no sirs to the sheriff were pretty cute. And the sheriff says, son, it seems every time I turn around, I'm seeing you. I just suggest you try to stay out of trouble. And Sam nods. Sam, yes, sir. And then Dean and two sheriffs are walking down the hall. And Dean's going, no, it's all right. I'm with him. He's my brother. And then he's shouting to Sam, hey, brother. And there's like, trust Dean to make it a little bit weird. I thought that was so funny. And then so basically, like, Sam is like, yeah, that's my brother. And the sheriff's like, let him through, which I don't know why. That means that he has to be let through, but fine. Okay.
It's not like Laurie's brother.
No, I know.
It's her dad in the hospital.
Presumably, they're all here, and the security is here because the serial killer has tried to kill them, and they feel like they need some protection. And obviously...
Yeah, but also the sheriff is suspicious of Sam anyway, so it's like, would you let them all in?
This is my point. It's like, sir,
sorry.
Why? No, I'm agreeing with you because we're on the same page. Why does this make sense? The man that you're suspicious of, this is his brothers. Yeah, yes, let the creepy brothers who have been breaking into your crime scenes, let them through. It's fine. But the thing that I wrote down that I thought was so funny is Dean rolls his eyes at the cops as he's walking past them.
Yeah.
Like his continual attitude towards police really cracks me up. Like, it's so funny. So then they have a conversation, and Sam is talking about what's going on. Like, they're trying to work out what's happening. And Sam's like, why didn't you torch the bones? And Dean is like, I fucking did torch the bones. What are you talking about? Yeah. And Sam's like, no, I was just attacked by the ghost. So you obviously didn't. And Sam's like, it sure as hell looked like him, and that's not all. I don't think the spirit is latching onto the Reverend. And Dean says, well, yeah, the guy wouldn't send the hookman after himself. And Sam says, I think it's latching onto Laurie. Last night she found out her father is having an affair with a married woman. Dean says, So what? Sam says, so she's upset about it. She's upset about the immorality of it. She told me she was raised to believe that if you do something wrong, you get punished. And Dean says, okay, so she's conflicted, and the spirit of Preacher Carnes is latching on to the repressed emotions, and maybe he's doing the punishing for her. And Sam says, right, Rich comes on too strong. Taylor tries to make her into a party girl. Dad has an affair. And this is their big, these are the reasons why. And as we've established, yes, Rich is an asshole. He did beyond coming on too strong. Like, no means no.
Yeah.
But Taylor did not try to make her into a party girl. Taylor just wanted to have a relaxing weekend with her friend. Everybody needs to leave Taylor the fuck alone, okay?
Yeah. And I don't think Laurie was angry at her, so that doesn't really track.
No, that's my red flag for the episode. I don't think that it really makes that much sense. Like, I don't think that she, even conflicted in her emotions, would have been morally upset at Taylor.
No.
I think the idea is we're supposed to believe, which I find this kind of gross. I think we're supposed to believe that Laurie feels that Taylor's choice of her outfit is the reason why Rich got too handsy with her. And I think that's extremely gross. So I'd like to believe that that's not what we're supposed to be thinking. But it's like they keep having this thing where it's like Taylor's all girls gone wild or something, when she really isn't. She's just a girl living her life. And Laurie is just a girl living her life.
It feels a bit slut-shamey.
It feels very slut-shamey. So that, in conjunction with the comments like, do you think we'll see a naked pillow fight? and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Like, we're starting to slip into like a different version of Dean.
Yeah.
And a different sort of tone to the show. And I feel like, as much as we've said all these nice things about the show, this episode, they did go full old school slasher, and this is very stereotypical of that. So
Yeah. But I mean, I suppose it kind of tracks with that, like the whole vibes of that, because it was a bit like that in the time.
yeah.
Well, it was
Yeah.
a lot like that at the time.
It was exactly like that. Like, we were all living in that. We were all living in the era
Yeah.
of slut shaming, and it's your fault because of what you were wearing. And I mean, people still
Yeah.
say that even now, which is just so
Yeah.
stupid and gross. But yeah, so they're
Yeah.
having a conversation about it, and they realize that the hook is the issue. So Sam says, "You must have
Yeah.
missed something." Dean goes, "No, I burned everything in that coffin." And Sam says, "Did you get the hook?" And Dean goes, "The hook?" And Sam says, "Well, it was the murder weapon, and in a way, it was part of him because it was like a prosthesis."
Yeah.
Which we should say that the stereotype of people who have prostheses being the villains, problematic as fuck. But anyway, we have the hook. And in this case, the hook was a murder weapon. So Dean says, so like the bones, the hook is the source of his power. And if we find the hook, and then they say it in unison, and I have this as like being quite adorable and cute. They say, "We stop the hook man." And then they smile at each other, and they're talking at the same time. And it's all brotherly bonding. And I'm just like, this is the brothers Winchester. This is very cool. This is adorable. So then they go into the library because they're trying to trace what happened to the silver, like what happened to what was in the hook. Did you have any notes for this section? Because I have written down that I believe you will have some thirst traps.
Yeah, well, no, research. Again, blanket thirst trap.
Yeah.
They are trying to find the clues to where the hook might be. They find that the preacher's church was on the same site as the current church where Laurie's dad works now, which explains why he's been haunting different reverends or preachers and their families. And they find the evidence that a hook was given back to the family and it was reforged into something else. So then they have to go and try and find literally anything silver in the house and the church and burn it all.
Yeah.
Which was quite funny.
I write down the brothers' research. Hot. Laura will have a thirst trap here. I said, Dean has a pen cap hanging out of his mouth, the corner of his mouth, like a cigarette, and it's hot.
I don't think I was paying attention in this bit. I don't know why, because I haven't actually written anything down, but that sounds hot.
And I wrote down, Sam is reading about the hook being reforged. Laura will have this as a thirst trap.
I haven't actually got one here. I've got a specific one later on. But yeah.
I'm disappointed in you.
It's a blanket one. They're researching.
Okay. So research blanket thirst trap the entire scene. I
might have also been slightly tired and fallen asleep at that bit.
You need to go back and watch it again because it's hot. Like, I was like, Laura will like this. If you slept through it, you need to treat yourself and go back because that's the hottest that I think that I've ever seen them in any research in any part of the series. Okay.
I need to watch it again then. I think I was making notes. I don't know if I actually fell asleep. I think I was writing notes, so I probably missed the little bits.
Yeah, so you were in your research mode and that caused you to miss the hotness of the Winchester research mode. That's what happened there. Yeah. So they realize that the church has the hook and that, like Laura was saying, they have to go through and root out anything that might possibly be silver. But I have the setup to this scene is so cinematic. So you have a full moon over the church. There's mist. Mm-hmm. It's running through the graveyard. And then you have a car and you have the boys walking out of the car all in one shot. And that is the spookiest, most beautiful scene in anything ever. Like, It's so gorgeous. It's so perfectly lit. Like, baby is shining and menacing looking. Like, she looks like the most badass car of all time. The boys look super badass getting out of the car to go in to hunt the bad thing. And it's just the most perfect scene setting ever.
Yeah.
And so Sam goes to investigate the actual house while Dean goes into the church, and Dean turns to Sam and says, "Hey, stay out of her underwear drawer." And Sam looks super off put. And I think this is a quip because, again, less fun Dean. Like, this is a little bit, I don't know if I want to say creepy. I'm not the biggest fan of this line.
No. I have a theory about this bit though. I think Dean is jealous because for once Sam has got the interest of the girl.
So I agree. And I think this is because he's also seeing the chemistry, like he's noticing there's a little bit of chemistry between Sam and Laurie. And Dean, who is Dean, is like, any opportunity to give my brother a hard time. I think that's why he says that. So he goes into St. Barnabas' church. He's in the basement. He's throwing everything that's silver into the fire. And Sam comes downstairs with a bag of stuff from Laurie's house. And he's like, I got everything that even looked silver. And Dean says, better safe than sorry. And they throw everything into the fire. And then they hear footsteps above them. So
that was creepy.
Yeah. Dean takes out the gun and goes upstairs with Sam. And they see Laurie sitting in a pew alone crying. And again, I thought that this was really cool scene setting because you have like this blood red church carpet going all the way through. You see that it's lit by the full moon on the inside. And you can see all the stained glass and everything. And she looks so isolated. The pews are so dark. It actually looks genuinely spooky. So Sam goes over to talk to Laurie, and Laurie is having a meltdown saying that I'm praying for forgiveness. And Sam says, forgiveness for what? And she's like, don't you see? I'm to blame for all of this. I've read in the Bible about avenging angels.
I just said that it was really cute how he's acting with her in this scene, in this bit.
I thought that you would. I didn't write down Laura Thirst Trap, but I was waiting for you to be like, oh,
I've got one in a little while. It's coming up. It is coming up.
There is one coming. I've written down another one. Okay. So then when we're going through this conversation, Sam's comforting Laurie and he's like, trust me, this guy, he's no angel. And she talks about being angry at people and then people getting hurt. And Sam's like, it's not your fault. And Laurie's like, I don't know how it is my fault, but I feel that it's my fault. I killed Rich, Taylor too. I nearly killed my father. And then she's like, I can see it now. They didn't deserve to be punished. I do. And then they start to hear these noises and the candles on the altar blow out and the screen fades out to black. And then there's a fade in and Sam saying, come on, we've got to go. And then the hook man pushes his hook through the door. This is so like The Shining. Axe coming through the door. Okay. Again, Stephen
His
King
Johnny bit. I wrote that down. Yep.
Lives forever.
I was gonna make
Go for it.
I'd written that down because we noted a few episodes ago now that there's always a Stephen King reference and we haven't had one for a couple of episodes. So I wrote down, here's Johnny. Here's Hookman.
Yep. Here's Johnny. So then Sam is saying, come on, we gotta go. And he's trying to protect her. The Hookman is bursting through shit like fucking Jack Torrance. He follows them and smashes through the glass of another door. He swings at Sam a few times but misses. The Hookman chases the two of them around the room and finally hooks Sam in the shoulder. He screams in pain, and an invisible force drags Laurie on her back across the floor. Sam charges over, again trying to protect her, and says, come on, are you okay? The Hookman suddenly reappears and knocks Sam backwards into a wall. He gets up and maneuvers behind the Hookman who is standing over Laurie. But actually there's also like, he gets slammed into a bookcase that then smashes into him. And that's when he's getting up to help Laurie. And then Dean suddenly comes in and he has the gun raised and he screams, this is my biggest thirst trap of this whole episode. Sam drops. And Sam hits the deck. And then Dean shoots the Hookman and he disappears into dust.
That whole sequence was really creepy because like how the Hookman keep being visible, then invisible, then visible, then invisible, which was really cool. And then the bit where all the candles blow out, that was scary.
That was scary.
We skipped over my thirst trap. So my thirst trap was when Sam grabs her hand and like drags her through the church.
Yes. No, I love that. And I thought that you would be like, Sam being protective. Hot.
Yeah.
So then they're saying, I thought we got all of the silver. And Dean's like, so did I. And then Sam says, then why is he still here? And Dean says, well, maybe we missed something. They look around. And Sam notices a cross necklace that Laurie is wearing. But I was like, bitch, please. Because it's a cross, but it's a hook at the top. And then we realized it's one of the creepy like hook crosses that he had on his fucking hook hand. And I was like, you're doing too much. That is so obvious. There is no way that Sam and Dean, if they had seen this necklace, which is apparently now in full view, or even though we've never seen it on her before, which is in the shape of a fucking hooked cross. Like, it was so obvious. And I was like, you are hurting me. You are hurting me with how silly this is. But anyway, we're going to allow it because they're very attractive. Okay? We're going to give them a pass.
But she calls it a church heirloom as well.
She does call it a church heirloom.
A church heirloom.
Yeah. And then they said, where did you get that? And she says, my father gave it to me. And then that's the part where it's like, oh, it's a church heirloom. Sam says, is it silver? And Laurie says, yes. Sam rips it off of her. And then in the hallway, the hookman, who is now invisible, is making a long scratch down. I thought this was so scary. I remember this scene was the scene that scared the shit out of me the first time I watched it, where you just see like him like hewing a line through the fucking wall, and you're like, that would cut through people like butter. Okay?
Yeah.
It's terrifying. You can't see him. You don't know where he is, and he can slice through fucking concrete. So terrifying.
Yeah.
So then Dean shouts Sam, and he throws Sam the rifle and the rock salt, and Sam tosses Dean the necklace. Mm-hmm. Dean runs back downstairs while Sam aims the gun at the scratch that is being made and shoots. He quickly reloads the gun with rock salt. And I was like, this is Laura's going to think this is a thirst trap because Sam is being heroic. I feel like anytime Sam is researching or being heroic and protecting the innocent.
Yeah, the protective bit. But see, mine was still the bit where he grabs her and pulls her through the church first. I didn't have any other bits written down, but that was the one.
Fair enough. So we've cut to the basement, and Dean runs downstairs and throws the necklace into the fire. And then we cut upstairs. Sam is still loading the gun with his injured hand and shoulder. The hookman appears and knocks the rifle out of Sam's hand. Sam and Laurie crawl into the corner and watch the hookman tower over them. Like, I thought they were going to die. I actually, when I was first watching this episode, again, this was terrifying. I was like, everybody's dead. Everybody's dead. And then in the fire, the cross pendant is starting to break off and melt. Mm-hmm. And then upstairs, the hookman sort of stops mid-swing. And then the hook starts melting as the cross is melting in the fire. And he starts burning into nothing. It was so cool. They filmed it so that you like see, like, kind of similarly to Constance, his face starts decaying and twisting, and it's so weird and gross. I loved it.
Yeah, that was cool. I liked that effect.
Yeah, I really liked that.
And then we have the last little scene, which I like because they have like the big kind of traumatic bit when they kill the monsters in every episode, and then they have like the aftermath scene where it's a bit more lighthearted to kind of go on to the next one. I appreciate that as a little ending to the episodes. But I thought this was funny because this is where the sheriff has had enough of their shit, hasn't he?
The sheriff is like, get out.
Will you get out of my town? But it's so they tell the sheriff they've told him that they saw a man with a hook and who ran off rather than, the hook man that melted.
Yeah.
And then the sheriff is like pointing at Dean. And he's like, listen, you and your brother. And then Dean interrupts him and just says, don't worry, we're leaving. And walks off. We're leaving town.
I know,
and I just thought,
that.
He's had enough of them.
I love that so much because I love how fucked off he is with them. Which is like good instincts because they were all up in your business. They were all up in your crime scene. And then Dean's attitude toward the police. Being like, shut up, we're leaving. Because he doesn't say that. He says, don't worry.
We're going.
But he's so like, whatever, man. Just walks away.
Yeah.
So funny. I just wrote Dean and the sheriff, lol.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
And then you've got Sam and Laurie having a little moment in the ambulance. And Dean sits in the car and he's spying on them in the wing mirror. I'm like, he's jealous. He is jealous.
And And I swear, Laurie is literally wearing an outfit from like she's literally wearing a Laurie Strode outfit in this scene. It is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Everything she's wearing looks like it's from the 70s. And they're having their moment. And then Sam comes back into the car and Dean says we could stay. And then Sam shakes his head. And then Dean
just doesn't say anything, does he?
No, it's so disheartening. And then Dean looks sort of disappointed that Sam is giving up on Laurie. Like I feel like Dean wanted to give him something. Wanted to have something, because it's odd of Dean, who's the one who's like, we've got to help all these people, to be like, we could stay. He sees what's going on. He's like, we could stay. And he means it.
Yeah.
And then he's so sad that Sam is so unwilling to give himself a chance at happiness, I guess. Like it's an interesting moment.
Do you think Sam's just thinking, like, what's the point? We're going to be going. And also, if I get close to someone else, maybe they'll die like Jess did.
I absolutely think that's what he's thinking. I think that's exactly what was going through his head. So then they drive away, and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah. So overall, I liked it. It was a nice, nostalgic episode. I liked it.
Yeah.
What did you think about the villain? Hot or not?
He was not hot. He was not hot. He's killing innocent sex workers. He's like a Bible thumping, ultra Christian, right wing, gross guy, and I cannot get behind that. So no, he's not hot.
No, I agree. Although the monster scare rating, I would give it about a 6 or a 7, because I said it was a solid monster and for the nostalgia factor.
I agree. I would give him like a 6.7, maybe a 7.5. He was really scary and gross. And this episode actually had really good scares in it, even though it was kind of like slightly B-movie slashery because of the little humor parts and stuff. But it was a good episode. It was a solid episode, and it did genuinely scare me the first time that I watched it.
Yeah. I have got a favourite quote written down, but there wasn't really any standout ones. The only one I read. Great
episode for quotes.
No,
not really.
But they normally have some funny little quips, and I like those. But so I just wrote down when he's digging and he says, "That's it. Next time I get to watch the cute girl's house."
I love that one. I will take. Thank you, Dr. Venkman.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. What was your ultimate thirst trap?
Well, see, I always write down one for each. So I had Dean digging, but that's not going to be the main one. So the main one is the Sam grabbing her hand and
running
pulling
to
her through the church,
her.
Being protective.
Yeah.
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 What was yours?
I actually think that Dean digging the grave is my ultimate thirst trap in this episode. Oh no.
Yeah.
No, I tell a lie. That's number 2. Number 1 is when he screams at, he comes in with a shotgun and he's like, "Sam, down!" And then he shoots the bad guy. Hero moment every time. Hot.
It's like the one in the Wendigo episode where he kind of does a similar thing. Actually, that's very parallels, because Sam is being protective then too, and Dean's the one that kills the monster.
Yep.
Same thing.
It really does. It's an echo.
Okay, so should we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Outro, outro, outro.
I'm leaving that in.
Thanks for tuning in. If you liked this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at The Witches of Letters Podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.